more about them than it does about us. And they're probably not thinking about us anyway. That is such a liberating thought, yeah? That's making sense. You can see how appreciating that can really help you to let go of that fear of being judged. And once you have no fear of being judged, fear of being put down, fear of what other people might be thinking of you, because it's nothing to do with you anyway, it's all about them. You see how that can open up so many possibilities. What I'd like you to do is just take a couple of moments to just sort of think about this. Think of situations in the past, perhaps, where you'd been in a room, and just think how much detail you could actually remember about the other people who were there. Or perhaps next time you are in a room and there's other people around, just pause for a moment. Close your eyes or look down or look at a book or something so you don't look as though you're just standing there, eyes closed, and that's weird. So you're not looking at everyone else, and then just sort of say to yourself, okay, well, how many people are in the room? 1, 2, 5, 10, 20, 50, 100? Roughly how many people? Are they mostly male, mostly female? Is it a mix? What sort of age ranges? What kind of colours? What's the most common colour people wear? And notice, you won't have noticed these things. Now don't go out and deliberately go, right, here's the room, there are 87 people in this room, 53 are men, the rest are women, before you do this exercise, because that's just cheat, that's just rubbish. But at a random point when you're with people, just notice, hey, I'm with a lot of people, right, okay. How many people are around? What are they wearing? What are they doing? What are they eating? What are they saying? What kind of hair have most of them got? And notice, you don't notice these things at all. And if you don't notice it, chances are they're not noticing it either. And just take a few moments to kind of think about people who you've been fearing were judging you, and realise notice that it doesn't actually say anything about you. It's about them, their beliefs, their values, their judgments, which are irrelevant to you because that's theirs to help them get through their life. It's not yours to help you get through yours. Something to think about.
Just You're listening to the Confidence Alchemist radio show with your host, the Confidence Alchemist himself, Keith Blakemore Noble.
So the next tip that we're going to take a look at, the next thing that can sort of help us to work our way through this complicated thing called life and help us to sort out our confidence and to really reclaim our confidence. The next thing we're going to take a look at is that, this one's going to take a little time. Why do I say that? Well, the tip itself is all about time. And the tip is that time heals pretty much everything. Time heals pretty much everything. You've just got to give the time some time. Time heals pretty much everything. You've just got to give the time some time. And think too. This is true for anything that happens to us, any unpleasant stuff that happens to us, even in terms of things like if it's a bereavement or a loss of a job or breaking up with a partner. Think back to your first crush, the first your childhood crush where you first went out together, and then it broke, or maybe even you asked them and they said no, and you felt heartbroken. This was the love of your life, and they'd said no, and that was it. The world was ended. Only it wasn't, was it? Because it really hurt at the time, and I'm not playing that down. It really freaking hurt, right? But over time, that pain starts to dim, starts to dull. Over time, you start to see other sources of possible happiness. You may even you will start to see other people who you could be friends with, other people you can hang around with. Eventually, other people you can ask out, go out with, go on dates, whatever. Think of a time when you may have had an injury, perhaps, even if it was something like a broken arm or leg or whatever injury. It hurts, right? It really, really hurts at the time, yeah? There's no denying it. It freaking hurts. But it doesn't hurt forever. It doesn't stay broken forever. You break your arm, it's not broken forevermore. It's like, oh well, that's that arm broken. That's never going to work again. Over time, that arm will heal. Over time, that pain will subside. It will dim. It will fade away. Now, you may end up with some scars. It's possible you'll end up with some scars. But that's all right. Even those over time will start to fade. They may disappear completely. They may remain there as a reminder of difficult times past. But they're also a reminder that those difficult times did indeed pass. Time healed it. Time heals pretty much everything. You just got to give the time some time. You just got to allow time for it to heal. Now, I'm not saying that something really nasty and bad happens to you and you just go, oh, you know what, it'll be fine, right? So there's no need to be upset. Not at all. If you need to grieve. Do not attempt to avoid the grieving process, because the grieving process itself is very much part and parcel of helping us to deal with what's happening. Helps us to mourn those losses. Helps us to process it all and get things into context. Helps us to kind of come to terms with closing off that chapter, so that we can be better prepared to move on to the next one. And that's what it's about. Because life won't be the same. Perhaps somebody has left your life for whatever reason and is never coming back. Life isn't going to be the same again. And it may take you some time to grieve, take you some time to mourn, take you some time to come to terms with it. But that's the key thing. It takes time. Over time, when you allow it, over time those pains do dim. That loss, that ache, whatever it is, starts to fade. When you allow time to do its stuff, allow it to heal, time heals pretty much everything. You just got to give the time some time to allow it to heal, to allow those wounds to heal up and to fade away. Until you reach the point where one day you've gone the whole day without thinking about that pain, without thinking about that loss, without mourning. Then after a while it becomes a few days. Now, I'm not saying you're going to forget. Maybe it's somebody who's gone. You're not going to forget about them. There's no reason why you should forget about them. But you're no longer going to be thinking about them constantly. You'll remember them from time to time, sometimes with sadness, sometimes with great fondness as you remember the good times. The key thing is time heals pretty much everything. You've just got to give the time some time. Okay, that's all well and good. It's all very that's a hard word to say. It's all very philosophical. But what the heck has that got to do with confidence? Well, as it turns out, it's actually got a lot to do with confidence. Because, the first tip we looked at, often we get held back in terms of confidence because we're worried about what other people will think. We're scared. Fear is a big thing with lacking in confidence. So we're scared. We have fear of what other people will think, say, or do about us. A fear of their judgment. But we can also have a big, massive fear about pain we might experience from a situation, and the fear of that pain can be enough to knock the wind out of our sails, to stop us having the confidence to pursue that option. Take the classic example of asking someone out. You see someone you fancy, and this most of us at most stages of life will encounter this, but it's especially big when you're young. Yeah, in your teens, and you're just figuring your way around this world. But this also happens with people of all ages. Don't think that once you're out of your teens, it will be gone. It may do, it may not. Also, don't think that just because you're not in your teens and you still have this, doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. Far from it. There can be people in their 70s, 80s, 90s still get that same sort of thing. It's just the way we are. But there's this person that you really like, you're really attracted to. You want to ask them out. And you want to ask them out for a coffee or to the cinema or for a drink or for a bite to eat, because you want to start to get to know them a bit better. Because, let's face it, you'd quite like to date them if things work out. And the first step is to ask them out for something harmless like a drink, yeah? But that little voice starts. We're not good enough for them. They're out of our league. Now there's a stupid phrase. They're out of my league. Nobody is out of anybody's league. And we may look at that in another time. If that's something that you're interested in, let me know. Drop a comment, because I know a couple of people that I could bring in as guests who can really help us navigate through that load of nonsense. But nobody's out of your league, and you're not out of anybody else's league. That's just nonsense. That's just stuff we say to justify not doing anything. And why would we justify not doing something? Because we're scared. It's going to hurt. And that's why we lack the confidence to ask them out, because we're afraid it's going to hurt. We're afraid they're going to say no. We're afraid they might even laugh at us, or that other people might laugh at us. And that's going to hurt, right? The rejection. All the time I don't ask them out, they haven't actually said no. Well, if you never ask them out, it's a no. You ain't ever going to get a yes by not asking them out. Yes, when you ask them out, you might get a no. It might hurt. It may hurt a heck of a lot. And that can be enough, or many people can find that's enough to allow them to go, you know what, I'm not going to ask them out. And then we come up with all sorts of excuses and justifications and all that out of my league baloney. They're just excuses to justify us not taking action. And the reason we don't ask them out is because we're scared. We lack the confidence because we are scared we get hurt. But see, here's the thing. Remember, I said time heals everything. You just got to give the time some time. So yes, even if you ask them out and they say no and they laugh in your face,